Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another edition of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. I'm your host, Pete Pardo, and my co-host for this evening, none other than Steven Reid from Scotland. What's happening, Steven? How you doing?
I'm doing well, and I'm excited to talk about well, let's not give too much away by saying that it's a fantastic album. Let's talk about Kansas.
Yeah. I mean, Steven was able to get a very early review of this new album, The Absence of Presence, on the website before it actually came out here in the US. And I remember reading your review and thinking, damn, I can't wait to get my hands on this, right? And I had to wait, I think it was 2 weeks or something like that. There was a difference. And I got it recently, and I probably listened to it 10 times already in the span of a week and a half, if not maybe more than that. I don't know. This is the bad boy right there we're talking about. All right, that's the CD. Steven, you have an LP, man? Or you got this? There you go. You got the special edition, right? So that's got what, a DVD in it?
No, it's still just a single disc, and it's still just just the 9 tracks. I mean, they're amazing 9 tracks, but it's just a fancy because the artwork's beautiful. So it's just a digipack, which also came with a nice postcard.
Very nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like your digipack. I love those digipacks that they put out. So I'll give them a tour of mine here. So there you got the guys in the band. There's Tom Brislin. Let's see. Phil Ehart. Who's next? Billy Greer. Got all the lyrics on Steven's side there. And you got Ronnie Platt, the vocalist. David Ragsdale, violin and guitar.
Indeed.
Okay, there's Zach Risby, who's the new kind of creative guy in the band, right? On guitars and a lot of the songwriting. He seems
to be the guy, doesn't he?
Yeah. Rich Williams, of course, one of the founding members on guitars.
Yep.
All right. Cool stuff. So
they pushed the boat out. The whole package is great, it has to be said.
Yeah, it's quite good. There is a version available. A friend of mine said he just ordered it, which is a double disc, and it's got a DVD. I don't know what's on the DVD, but apparently it's the deluxe edition, I guess.
Yeah, there is a deluxe edition. I must admit, I didn't get the deluxe edition this time, although it's what I've got is quite fancy. I don't know if there's actually any different music on it.
I don't think so.
From memory, I don't think there is, because if there was, I probably would have bought it, to be fair.
Yeah, I would have done the same thing. Yeah, I think it's... Of course, my dogs are going ballistic, right? But I think it's a documentary of the making of the album or something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing for me is, this is the previous album. Okay, so this is the Prelude Implicit. Okay, now this is a great album, right? This was, considering the kind of changes that had happened in the band, lineup changes, and arguably. And I do stress that some people definitely disagree, and rightly so. But the main players in the band, the guys that you used to associate with Kansas, are not really there anymore. Do nothing against Rich Williams or Phil Ehart. Billy Greer's been around for 35 years, something like that. David
Ragsdale too, yeah.
Second time in the band as well, and he's a signature sound. You can't go wrong with him in the band. But this was a band effort. The band wrote this album, or at least the credits say the band wrote this album. Whether, with a little bit of hindsight, that's possibly a little bit of pleasant politics in there to keep people on side, I don't know. But unbelievably for me anyway, is that all 9 songs here are written by the new guys. So arguably, if any album shouldn't sound like Kansas, this is it. This shouldn't sound like Kansas. Man, oh man, does this sound like Kansas?
It does. It really, really does. Yeah.
Yeah. In such a good way. There are so many bands out there trying to sound like themselves and failing, that to actually bring in 3 new guys, and as you say, Zach Risby, he wrote, I would imagine, the majority of the music on here. He's the main producer of the album, although admittedly with the old hands giving him a bit of a help, whatever that means. Probably the thumbs up to say this sounds great, because it sounds great. But so how you take a guy that up until, 2016, was nothing to do with this band, and he writes, in my opinion, the best Kansas album, arguably, since the 70s? Am I going too far? I don't know. How does that happen? I'm just pleased it has.
I've heard other people say, and I don't know that I disagree, that this might be the best Kansas album since Monolith.
Yeah,
And,
do you
we,
know?
and you know, we're talking about there's some good ones here, right? So we're
Yeah,
talking about Audio Vision's very solid.
yeah, great
I
album.
personally love Freaks of Nature. Okay, the
Yes, I
couple
do too.
albums with John Elefante are very good.
I'm a massive Elefante fan in and out of Kansas, I have to say. So anything with him in it is a draw. But yes, I think it's better than the two albums that he did with him. So yeah, it's hard to argue with that. I mean, I don't throw away 5 out of 5 star reviews very often. They do come around, but they don't come around very often. And I had absolutely no hesitation in giving this album full marks. You
Yeah,
know, it is, to me personally, it's just inarguable that it's that good. And I'm very pleased to say that people I'm speaking to, things I'm reading, I haven't so far heard or seen a dissenting voice.
yeah,
And that says something. That's, in this day and age, that's virtually impossible for a classic band to actually be releasing new music that fans new and old are all going, do you know, this is just great. But it's just great.
it
Covers
is.
all the bases, doesn't it?
It does, and it gets better with every listen. I think it has all the elements you really want. I mean, it's got lots of keyboards, first of
Yeah,
all, okay,
yep,
and not just a little bit of keyboards, lots of keyboards. I mean,
yeah,
let's face it, Tom Brislin is a fantastic player. I mean, he's been involved in
isn't it?
some other very notable bands. This guy knows
Yep,
what he's doing. Not only that, but he wrote a bunch of lyrics for this album too.
yeah, yeah,
Pretty
yeah,
cool, I think.
absolutely.
And he obviously
And
must have been a fan growing up, right?
yeah, I mean, he sings the last song as well. He
Yeah.
sings, oh, I'm looking for the back for the names because the
The
names are not.
song "The River Sang."
He sings the songs the river sang.
Yeah,
What a voice!
yeah,
It, he's just absolutely fantastic, isn't he? It's the thing that I think that struck me first was how authentic it sounds.
yeah.
Do you know, it captures the essence of what I think I would hope that most Kansas fans are looking for. It's big, it's grandiose, it's not ashamed of that. It really is. Right from the off, you know going for it. Do you know? But it rocks out in places. I think Throwing Mountains is a killer riff. Do you know? It just opens up after an intro song that just swirls with atmosphere, and it has a great breakdown where the vocals kick in. That's pure Kansas.
Yeah.
Do you know? But to follow that up with a song that just, you know, smashes through with some great guitars, I think is a real clever move, because it shows that we're not just retreading old ground, which I love. I also think there's a little bit in there that adds a little bit of the Elefante sound, which I do like. As I say, I'm a massive fan of John Elefante, so that works for me too. But then later in the album, you get that kind of pure AOR sound, but with the Kansas twist that was always there. Because to me, they've always been a hybrid. They've been the perfect, you know, I always say more of an American prog sound. You could never confuse them to be a British band,
Right, right.
but they've also got that AOR side, which is maybe why you would never confuse them to be a British band, because Britain has produced some good AOR over the years, but never classic AOR. It just never quite clicks in place, good though some of those bands are. But Kansas have always managed to bring those 2 points together, and they do that later on. I mean, there's songs like Jets Overhead, Memories Down the Line, that just, the melodies and the sound, and there's choruses to sing along with, but there's great playing on there.
There's hooks all over the place here. It's like, and you know, and like a song like Circus of Illusion, you got this great vocal hook, you got the violins and the keyboards. It's like, and again, you said it perfectly. Kansas always were so great at kind of marrying classic prog rock with AOR, you
Yeah,
know, poppy hooks, all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Hard rock crunch, because this album
yeah,
rocks harder than the Prelude Implicit, I think.
yeah, yeah, by a distance, by a
Yeah.
distance.
And I think it's got that majestic sound. You just love it. I don't know. It's just every song is just like big and grandiose
Yeah,
and memorable. Like from the first
the,
listen, every
yeah,
song, you remember every
yeah,
song, and every
yeah,
song has got a great hook, and it's just, and the playing is good without being showy. But I don't think Kansas really were ever that band anyway,
yeah,
right? But it comes across as a true band effort. Everybody in this band is pulling their weight, okay? And let's face it, the two founding members are letting all the new guys really shine. It's like, you know
yeah,
what? Everybody knows who we are.
yeah,
They know what we can do. We're going to let you guys carry the load here, and let's see what you come up with. and it's a home run.
I think that the thing for me, when you go back to classic Kansas, so back to the years when they were a massive, massive band, having hits, those hits had no compromises. And it's difficult to think of many bands on either side, the US or the UK, that managed to take that kind of progressive sound and take it to the charts. Lots of prog acts have had hits, but they've been hits. They've been a slight compromise in sound or during an era where they kind of, went with the times a little bit or just wanted to change. But Kansas's big hits are what they've always been best at. And that's what this album does. That's what's impressed me, is it captures that spirit in a way that I really hadn't anticipated, because the Prelude Implicit is a really good album. There's lots of great songs on there, and it was much better than I anticipated, to be fair. Do you know? So I went in with a little bit of hope with this one because we'd come off the back of such a good album. But there's always that trepidation of the further down the line we go, the harder it becomes for bands to replicate what they're good at.
It gets watered down a little bit eventually, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you've absolutely hit the nail on the head. This is not watered down. No. It sounds like a band that are fresh, young, and hungry. And maybe that's because there's 3 newer guys in the band who are fresh, young, and hungry. Maybe that's exactly what it is. But the results are just phenomenal. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it starts with the title track and it just doesn't let up all the way through. And I think, Ronnie Platt sounds great on the album. The only thing that I would have liked to see a little bit, it's very minor, because again, as someone who's been following Kansas since almost the beginning, they've got, Ronnie, great new vocalist. And if you go see them, if you ever get the chance to see them live, Steven,
which I'd love to, never have.
They play songs now that they haven't been able to play in years because Steve Walsh couldn't sing them. So now they've got a guy who can sing the entire catalog, and that's great. And he sounds fantastic on here. But one of the things I always loved about Kansas's music is you had that kind of dual-pronged vocal attack. So you had Steve Walsh and Robbie Steinhardt. At many times, they would both sing lead vocals in the same song and play off each other. I almost wish we had a little bit of, because Billy Greer is a great singer. He really is. He's like the secret weapon in this band. And he's done lead vocals or co-lead vocals in the band before. It would have been nice to hear a little bit of him at times. And also, we're hearing how good of a vocalist Tom Brislin is. So maybe it would have been nice to have those two guys, I'm not saying sing whole songs, but occasionally pop in to sing a verse or a chorus alongside Ronnie. I think would have made this album, as great as it is, just off the charts even that much better. It's a minor thing, so it's not a big deal. But,
I didn't pick up on it, I must admit, but that's a really good point, to be fair, considering the vocal talent that is in the band. Maybe it is a very slight oversight not to have utilised that a little bit more.
But as is, it's still great, because I've been a big fan of Ronnie's since he first joined the band. I've seen them with him live a couple times, and I love both these albums. So he's the right guy for the band. He absolutely is.
Absolutely. And the thing for me as well that I would implore people to do if they can, I know you and I are old-fashioned. We're holding physical product here, and I know that a lot of people that are watching this, they've gone with the times, and that's not what they're doing, because life has moved on and changed. But please, if you can, listen to this from start to finish. There's been a lot of thought involved, I think, in how this album flows, how the songs move from one to another. There's a journey here, and I think that's, I mean, admittedly in prog, you're going to get that. More bands are thinking that sort of way. But I love the fact that you can put this on and the whole journey is laid out for you, do you know? And that heightens the album for me. There are lots of albums out there that have got 9 great songs on them, but they don't always necessarily make a phenomenal album. This has got 9 great songs on it, and it makes a phenomenal album. And that, to me, is what takes something like this and makes it a full marks album for me. I mean, we're heading towards August here, so we're over halfway in the year, an odd year that it's been. A lot of things have been delayed or cancelled with the releases, and there's things that I know I was looking forward to this year that just aren't going to happen this year. But this year, it's going to take a lot to top this for me, I have to say. A lot of months to go, a lot of albums to come, some great music to come, I'm sure, I hope. I'm struggling already to think that there's going to be something better than this.
I've been thinking that too. And we've got the new Deep Purple coming out in just 2 weeks. And I've heard it.
Oh, okay, you're ahead of me. I haven't.
It's quite. I'm not going to divulge anything, but I've heard it. It's quite good. I don't know, however, what's going to top this. And again, we cover a lot of genres here, so it's kind of tough sometimes to say. Like that New Testament is just absolutely fantastic as far as like a metal album goes.
Yeah.
But this is like super, super, super. I will say the only thing I don't like about this, I love the artwork. What I really don't like about it, I was eyeing your Digipack, which I think kind of takes care of the issue I have. If you get the jewel case, you notice how you got that nice black sticker on there that says the Kansas logo and the title?
Yep.
If you look real close here, you have to look super close to see the logo, which is like hidden, as well as is the title even on here? The title is like you'd miss it if you weren't really looking carefully.
Yeah. I mean, I've covered it with a sticker, to be fair. So.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well, I hate that because they have a great logo, and that logo should be standing out a hell of a lot more than this, and the title should be way more prominent than this. And there's no song titles on the back. I mean, come on.
Well, I picked it up to talk about the song titles, even though I've written stuff down here. I still picked it up because that's what you do. You pick up an album and look at the back to find the songs. And then I opened it, and I still can't find the songs. And I still can't find the songs. And in fact, they're on the disc.
Yeah.
How bizarre.
Yeah. Okay. So they're on the disc with the writers and all that kind of stuff, which is what you normally would find on the back of the album, right?
Yeah. So it kind of maybe slightly ruins the artwork on the disc itself, because the artwork on the disc itself takes that image that you only see half of on the cover,
right?
Okay, which is nice, but you see all of it on the disc, other than the fact it's covered in writing.
Yep.
And I don't know about anyone else, but I can't read that when it's playing. You know, so that to me, okay, design fault. So we're being super picky here, aren't we?
We are, yeah.
Super picky. You know, us reviewers are never happy, are we? You know,
99.8, right?
This album's brilliant, but no.
Not quite perfect. That logo should have been bigger, guys. I'm knocking off a military.
Do you know how I gave it 5 out of 5? I'm going to go back and knock half a star. No, I'm not. Really not.
Well, I mean, it comes down to the music after all, and I think a couple of little quibbles on the album cover apart. I think
I mean, credit to them though. At least it is great art. Do you know that's not just stock art. I mean, I know that Kansas are a name, and they carry a bit of weight with them. But there's so many albums out there, so many labels, whole labels that are just putting stock art on the front. I mean, in recent years, I've seen 2 or 3 albums with the same album cover. And that's just, there's no excuse for that whatsoever.
They don't want to spend the money, right? Yeah, that's easy.
And that is the excuse, and it's a good one, to be fair. So fair enough. But with this, at least somebody has really taken the effort to put something that is beautiful together. And I think possibly they might look at it and go, could have been presented a little bit better, to be honest with you. But I still love it, to be fair.
I do.
I'm not convinced that colours-wise it looks like a Kansas album. That was one of the first things that struck me, to be honest. But
it's a lot of blue.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit of a companion piece, I suppose. I mean, they're very
sort of, yeah.
They're not themed, but they kind of do and kind of don't. But as I say, I mean, super picky, aren't we? We're being super picky now. People are going to complain about us complaining because we're not complaining.
No, we're really not. I mean, it's just we're telling it like it is, and we're trying to give everybody every little bit of info here. So I think I don't know. Long story short, go out and buy this album. Yeah. If you're a fan, you probably already have it. If you're kind of a casual fan, go listen to it. I think you'll dig it. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, we're generally talking about something that's at the top end of their catalogue here. So if you're a casual fan, this deserves to be in the collection because it's up there with the best albums. And I don't say that lightly because the best albums are absolute, genuine, stone cold classics.
Yeah.
You can't say that about this yet because it's only been in my hand for a couple of weeks. Yeah. I haven't lived with it for decades like I have other albums. But, I think it will be there. I do think it will be looked back on, hopefully, because we don't look back on anything from this era like that. But I do hope that we'll look back on this and say, home run, that stage of their career, amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I do want to say one final thing before we sign off here. There's going to be the folks who are watching this who are going to be like, no Steve Walsh, no Kansas for me. And I'm going to say this, and I'm an enormous Steve Walsh fan. But I will tell you that Steve Walsh struggled to sing in this band and stayed in this band way longer than he should have just to kind of help the guys keep it going. He hasn't been able to sing in like a long time. So give this a chance. All right. Ronnie is a terrific singer. This is a classic sounding Kansas album.
Yeah.
And I know we all love Steve Walsh. We do. But you know what? Life goes on. This band is just as viable as it has ever been. And just give it a chance. That's all I'm saying.
I'd argue more viable than it was at certain points.
Since the mid-90s?
Yeah. I would say that the last two albums have made them more viable than they were for probably a decade and a half before that, realistically. Maybe longer than that, to be honest with you, because they were a band who were, as you say, not that I've seen them live, unfortunately. I don't think they've ever come to Scotland, certainly not that I'm aware of, because I would have been there. But they were a band compromising what they could play live, as you rightly said. And they were a band who, arguably over a couple of albums, treaded water a little bit, you know, and they're not doing that now. They're just not doing that now. So, yeah, please give it a chance. I know, as you say, we're missing classic names here. However, we've got a classic album. So that, to me, is more important, personally, to be honest.
Yep, I agree. So check out Steven's full lengthy review at www.seatranquility.org. Check us out on Facebook. Visit here on YouTube all the damn time. We're also on Twitter. So thanks, Steven, for helping out on this particular one. It was great to kind of have both of us talk about this wonderful album. And we did it for a reason, because we knew we had to give this some in-depth coverage. So check it out. You won't regret it. And Steven's coming right back. We got some more new stuff to talk about. So we'll see you guys tomorrow morning with another episode, and have a good one. Steven, we'll see you soon.